Kindly confirm, is my voice audible or not? So we can begin. Can Zainab, can you confirm? Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, you can unmute your mic now and confirm, like, is my voice audible or not?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. So Zainab will be our co-host with us for today's session, and we will be starting our session from now onwards. First of all, Empeer 10 is a tech community by Empeer Dev Lab, and um, and beside that, that 10 hour that we started, that is a weekly session. It happens on every Saturday at 10 p.m. according to Pakistan time zone and 5 p.m. as per UTC time zone. So, and in this session, these are basically a chit chat session for the community in which anyone can join. People can tell about themselves, what they are doing, and after that, we visit some of the weekly tech news or tech trends that happened in the last week. And after that, for last 20 to 30 minutes, we have one founder with us that who showcase his product that he or she is building, and community will love to give the feedback. If there are any prospective customers, they can jump in. And if there is a networking or collaboration opportunity, so we collaborate accordingly. So for the starting of today's session, Zainab, over to you. You can jump over and continue on.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are on.
Okay. I'm Zainab. I'm a data analytics student, and I'm also the manager at Empeer Den. So this was just a very short introduction about myself. Is there anyone else that wants to introduce themselves? You can unmute yourself and just give like a brief introduction.
So basically, as we are going forward in this session, so we would love to know the people that are with us. We would love to know about themselves, like from which background they are, what type of interest you have, and so then we will move forward accordingly. So if you want to, you can just unmute your mic and tell us about yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Joe Lewis. I'm from the U.S. I currently live in Atlanta specifically, and I've been building with Empeer for the last 3-4 years. And it's great to be a part of this community, see what everybody else is doing. Yeah, looking forward to the
Thank
conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for the introduction. Um, Anyone else? And we also have our guest with us, Muhammad Ajmal, who will have a detailed session at the end of our today's 10 hour. So we will love to have your brief introduction, Ajmal, and then we will love to see your product at the end of the session. And yeah.
All right, hey everyone. My name is Ajmal, and I'm a software engineer. That's all what I have to say right now.
Okay. So perfect. We have Romesa Nazim with us. Yes, Romesa, you can unmute your mic and introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Ramesa Nazim and I'm doing bachelor's in computer science. After summer, I'll be starting my sixth semester. And in this summer, I'm basically doing an internship of Python development. And I have interest in the field of machine learning and AI. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. And anyone else? Like we have a lot of people with us. Like Ali Mansoor, if you are with us, we would love to know about you.
Hi, my name is Ali Mansoor, and I have been working as a development engineer in Pipeline for the last 3-4 years. And basically, I am transitioning from the development to the DevOps role, and I am working towards it. And
That's really good to know. Uh, we would love to have you for our coming session.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, anyone else? We have Rudraksh Malhotra. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If you are with us, we would love to know about you. Okay. So I guess like for today, we are moving forward towards our next part of today's session. If no one wants to introduce or tell us about themselves. So for the tech news and for the tech trends of this week, we would like to call Abdullah to jump in and tell us about the latest news of this week.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Okay.
Can anyone confirm my screen is visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, so everyone, my name is.
I guess you're. Yeah.
Got it. So my name is Ahmed, and I'm one of the founder of Empeer, and this initiative that we have been working on for the last 2 years. And the purpose, as Abbas told in the introduction, to have a global type of community where we can interact and get to know about each other and about the technologies or the happenings, because the technologies have been same from the past 10 to 15 years, if we mainly talk about the JavaScript or the Linux. But again, whatever the person or whatever the different nations, how they are utilizing that. So this is what it matters. So, and then it takes us to our this section, which is the tech news of the week section, like what is happening or what has happened in the last few weeks. So as it, I would say, Aves, is it like it's your fourth session, right? Then
Yes, it's fourth session. Yeah.
okay. So in these 4 sessions, a lot has been happening, and we have been discussing it in this then hour. So today we will be quickly looking over things what has happened this week. So the first news, as we discussed in our last den hour, was that Moonshot has released Kimi K3, but it was basically selling on a package basis or on SaaS subscription model. They haven't released that during last week. They haven't released the open source model yet. So this week, what they did is they open sourced their model mainly on Hugging Face, and as we all know that they have 2.8 trillion parameters, which has been talked a lot in the market right now. And then the context window is of 1 million tokens. And right now, the SaaS-based subscription or the tokens that you can purchase from Kimi's website, it is down because of the infra they have. So they are working on the infra, as we are saying, more focused on the open source side of things. But the issue with being them is like mainly the Chinese one, the DeepSeek or the Kimi AI. They don't have that much infra in comparison to if we see Claude or Cursor, Composer's model, and other those models. So we can see that there they have the strong infra. We don't see any downtime or the teams being limiting the subscriptions. But here in the Chinese model side of things, we have seen that issue. So moving to our next news is the XAI, which has gotten a lot of eyes just because recently they have purchased Cursor. Like XAI, as we all know, is owned by Elon Musk, and when Elon Musk did the IPO or the fundraising of his company SpaceX, so after that uh, uh, they have purchased Cursor. And after purchasing Cursor, they have embedded their own models, which is basically Grok models, in the Cursor, along with Cursor's model, which was Composer 2.5, Composer 2, and 2.5, and the series between them. So now they are pushing the real-time speech AI voice models or voice bots a lot. And again, this is one side that we haven't discussed, I guess, I would say, in any news from the past 4 weeks. regarding the voice agents or the voice bots. And as we are shifting towards the modern era, so earlier, let's say like 4 or 5 months ago, when the voice models or the voice bots were very trending, so at that time, the main question that everyone asks, like the business asks, that has to use the end product. So they usually ask how much it would cost us if we onboard it. It can be like the pricing that these platforms were giving were mainly per minute costing or per hour costings. At that time, like 4 or 5 months ago, it was like 10 cents or $0.1 for each 1 minute. But if we see today, the pricing of 1 minute has gotten to $0.06 or 6 cents. So this side is also improving day by day as the infra is getting more and more in space or in volume. So we would see definitely the prices getting lowered until or unless there comes a doomfall for the AI market. And the next one we have is the Google image generation feature, which Google embedded on Google Earth. As you all might have explored the Google Earth feature. It's a very unique thing. Like on Google Earth, you can zoom in, you can see the 3D views and stuff. So what they integrated was a AI image generation feature where you go to a place, let's say like the Manhattan. If you go to Manhattan and you see the 3D models, and then you give a prompt, like I want Spider-Man balloon to be popping up on top of this building, or Spider-Man balloon doing this, or a person jumping from this. So they rolled out this feature very quickly. But what happened after that was that there was some safety failure checks that did some good QA or some good QA side of things, but they didn't just did well just to become the first one in the race. So
So
after
vibe
just 20,
coded.
yes, or vibe code, yes. So after 24 hours, they have to roll back the feature and they apologize just because of all those compliances that we have been saying from the Europe or from the North American side of countries, like all the compliances that restricts the companies. So moving onward is, as we know, and we all might have used this platform, which is known as Telegram, and its founder, Pavel Durov, which is very well known in the IT industry or in the market. So Russia, from where he is originated from, has declared him as a terrorist, and he has written in this tweet like, under Russian law, I'm banned from publishing information on the internet. But again, he has written that Russian officials are clearly confused about who can ban whom from the internet. And then the Elon Musk immediately replied with a pun. And basically, again, as we all know, the countries usually ask such type of platforms like Facebook, Google to give them data or to give them special type of accesses. And when the platforms refuses or disagrees, so this is what happens. And let's see. Let's hope for the best, as Pavel has also some good open source contributions. So yes, this was the tech news shortly defined. And for the next week, we would expect again that AGI arrives and either everything becomes very good for us or very bad for us. Yes, thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Arham, for sharing the tech news. And it's honestly so crazy how there's always something happening in the tech world. Like, okay, anyways, we would now like to invite Ajmal for sharing his startup idea. So Ajmal, you could now unmute your mic and present.
All right. Okay, so first of all, thank you for this amazing opportunity. Let me turn on my video. All right. So thank you for this amazing opportunity, Empeer Dan, and I am very, very impressed by our vision. I didn't know the vision. It's very impactful and beautiful. I love that you're doing this. All right, so wait a minute. Yeah, someone else will have to be presenting my slides. I had to travel, so I didn't bring my laptop.
Okay. no worries.
Yeah.
I guess like there's a controls like anyone else can basically share their slides. Okay.
Yep. All right, thank you, Liz. So guys, I won't be presenting this product. I'll be just like demonstrating it as an idea. So before we get into it, there's like a few things that I would like to say. First of all, don't think of these as like, I'm going to show you slides and the things we have in a class, right? It's not going to be like that. So I made a few rules for it to be interactive. One is that I'll be presenting this entire presentation, the idea of B2, like a story. It will be completely non-technical. The reason why I keep it that way is that when you get the concept, then technicalities are already connecting and they become to arise inside a developer's mind, as to what I have experienced in my personal life. So, all right, the problem, right? It is a fragmented ecosystem when we see and talk about data. What do I mean by data? It's like, imagine yourself being like most of you guys are working and collaborating with different departments. Some of you might be running their companies. So there's a lot of knowledge that you want to, ask. And there's a lot of knowledge that you want to be like kind of have a unified platform, unified solution where you could just ask it. So for instance, if you're talking to ChatGPT, you would wish that, man, I wish my AI had that file, for instance, had that note, like those notes from the Gmail from the last meeting we had this, had that. So there's a fragmented ecosystem. We save things in different. What I like to call this, next slide, please, is the scattered knowledge, right? So why do I say knowledge, right? First of all, I want you guys to raise your hand if you recognize this person. Next slide, please. How many of you recognize her? All right, so this is where the journey starts. We're like, of course, we have to keep you can say entertained, right? Got to show you some reels. So let's watch a reel. Can people hear that?
No, I don't think so. You can shortly tell about like what they're talking about.
Oh no, the entire presentation is based on like we're going through a story, right? Yeah.
I guess Anas, if you are sharing, so you can like unmute your mic and make it on the speaker so I think we can hear.
Okay, let me try that with the sync.
No, Anas can unmute his mic and it will be here. Yeah.
I apologize for this, guys.
No worries.
It's good with rain as well because it'll just roll off. Why are pyramids that shape? Is it to stop homeless people sleeping on them? I don't think they have many homeless people in NQT yet. Right. Well, it's good with rain as well because it'll just roll off. Did this start at the top and work down or start at the bottom and work up? They had to start at the bottom and work up because it would be impossible to start at the top and work down. They told whole stories in hieroglyphic code rather than being put up in public where living people could enjoy them. These Egyptian comic strips were painted on the walls of tombs to entertain dead people. The Egyptians believed the most significant thing you could do in your life was die, and the more important you were, the more complicated your death had to be. Egyptian kings were known as pharaohs, and when they died, they'd get turned into mummies of Scooby-Doo fame. Philosophy is basically thinking about thinking, which sounds like a waste of time because it is. These are the ancient Greek philosophers, not the actual ones. There'll be a lot of dust and bones there, maybe some teeth if you're lucky. Socrates, Pythagoras,
Okay.
It's not very like some of the thing I am able to understand or I don't know about the audience, but the video and the sound is not very much linked. It's a bit of lagging, so you can
I'll take you along with the journey. Don't worry. Okay, so there's this line where Kant is basically saying philosophy is actually about thinking about thinking, right? So now, why am I intrigued by this? It is because, okay, first of all, let's ask you guys a question. Who here can answer what is an agent?
What is an
Agent.
Yes, yes.
The
What's the
one who works for
context?
some government or some agency.
Okay, that's one definition.
Yeah, just Joe, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was asking what's the context if you have someone that works for an agency, you have a AI that can also be an agent, depending on the
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, so it's just what are agents? You can have multiple definitions to that, and both of your definitions are correct. So there's no right or wrong. It's just a question. What is an agent?
So it's like a fancy name of an AI bot in the context of AI. Because
All right.
the bot thing was outdated, classic. So after them, they want something fancy and new. So now we are calling it an agent, and it sounds bit of interesting. Yes, yes. Zenith?
It could be like a tool or a person that does your job for you.
Yeah, that is a good definition.
That
So
definition fits, I think, every situation, even AI or any other, I guess.
yeah. All right. So let me help you. Let me give you the definition, right? A means or instrument by which a guiding intelligence achieves a result, right? So it's the guiding intelligence that actually gets you results. For an agent, it is like, even if you talk about someone in the agency, he's working on a guiding agent's intelligence to produce results. If we're talking about the AI agents, it is still working on the intelligence part and using instruments and means to achieve results, right? So now let's go back to the question, right? Thinking about thinking. What we need to produce is this guiding intelligence. And by the way, what is the best agentic system on planet Earth known to us? Can anybody answer that?
No, what you can tell?
Okay, so it's humans. We're the best agents that anybody knows. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what guides us? It's our intelligence, right? So we need to think about thinking. And let me give you a few techniques how we think. Why is that important? Because when we say that we are creating AI agents, well, if you believe it or not, we're trying to replace humans, right? We're trying to create something that can do what a human can do. So how does a human do things? To fall back to the fundamentals of that question, we need to actually understand what do we think about and how do we think about? What is guided intelligence? What is memory? How important is the things that drive our intelligence, which is knowledge, that drive our results, that drive our consequences? So, well, now let me go back to another reel. I would have loved to show you, but it's not going to make sense because, okay, so in the next example, I'm not breaking off. Everything will connect. All right. I recently watched Odyssey, so I've got this Christopher Nolan vibes going on inside me. So everything will connect. Bear with me. All right. So look at this. Over here, Kunk is basically trying to, ask a very deep question, very technical question. The other person doesn't understand. Just look at it. Okay. It doesn't matter. They can read the subtitles maybe.
Could we expand our brain's capacity by having a wide thought, like picturing a ladder being held sideways?
Probably not.
What about a tall thought, like a giant on stilts with a top hat on?
I don't think that would make your brain bigger in any way.
All right. So what I understood from that is basically Kunk is trying to ask you guys, we all know about BFS and DFS, right? You can either go breadth first or you can either go depth first, right? So, okay, so, okay. So what today's solution provides you when you say that, okay, data memory, yeah, we have solutions. It's all about the measurement, right? It's all zeros and one, and you have a software dimension of it, right? It's you either get a BFS or you either get a DFS or you get any algorithm. But the structure of the tables, when we talk about structure of the memory, it's all DFS and BFS, right? Does that make any sense? The capacity of current solutions is determined very linearly, okay? So now we all understand the problem. There are a few problems. Let me go through them again. I didn't mean to show this slide to you yet, but I'll just we'll go by. Okay, so fragmented data centers, right? What B2 does, it's basically a compound of AI and a compound of memory layers, right? So we'll get into the technical details or the product soon, but this is what it solves. When you have that compounded, all of the things are unified, right? It's very difficult to ask humans to go and get the unification, right? You can't say a person that you have to upload every single thing you do every single time. For instance, they're taking meetings, they're taking calls, they're doing emails, they're doing a hell lot of stuff, to be fairly honest. So we needed to create an auto-injection brain module for the organizations out there that can ingest the entire data automatically and compound in a single structural, searchable, and executable intelligence layer, right? So it's a memory, but it also has reasoning engine. We'll get into deep. And then it has operating manuals for an entire organization. Like you can create agents out of this knowledge base, out of this memory that you're creating, right? And well, it keeps up to date. How does it do that? Auto injection. It's like giving everyone what they need. Okay, so you have memory, right? What does that mean? You need to keep record of almost every single thing. How does human memory work? There are like 3 steps, okay? Encoding, how you ingest it, and then you store it, and then retrieval. You have to recall about it. Okay, now think of it as like an entire organization with multiple brains that they need to compound to a singular brain, right? And then we have 4 forms of memory learning for humans. Oops, apologies for that. We have short-term, which is the active memory. We have the factual memory, like you remember rules and regulations. And then you have learned skills that you learn over time. And then you have past experiences that you learn with your experience. Okay, now let's dive into a bit of how does this memory really work the way we want it to work, like a human. Next slide, please. So we divided it into, you can say 3-layer architecture. It's not really an architecture, it's just 3 layers of ingestion, right? Short-term memory. Don't confuse this with context, right? Don't think of agents as of yet. Think of it just the brain. We're just inside the brain. We're just inside the intelligence guidance. We're not working on anything. But, okay, can anyone differentiate between, like, can anyone tell what really is a context window and what's the disadvantages of putting stuff on context window and expecting the best out of AI?
We have limited. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Amrit, Lisa, you can tell. Yes, Amrit, you can unmute.
Okay. Basically, the context window maintain the length of the data, and from that data, it generate the response by maintaining its context and semantic meaning of the data. and the data relationships are updated by using the cell states. For that purpose, we use the model that name is LSTM.
All right. So okay, we're not going into the models, but yeah, that is very, very accurate actually. Okay, to summarize or to make it less easier for the people, context window would be something that you can imagine it like a whiteboard, right? You can only write enough on the whiteboard, but once the whiteboard is full, you need to obviously remove some of the part and then write it again. So this is your context window. It's not permanent. It does not stay here. And you'll find places where context window is referred to as working memory. Okay, back to B2. What is short-term memory? Short-term memory is whenever it ingests anything, whenever it ingests maybe a Slack message, maybe an email, maybe, for example, a call transcript, maybe the documents, whatever it is. The short-term memory basically classifies it. It holds the knowledge it gets, and then it classifies it according to two categories. One is para, and then the other is the working, like we named it the WESPA because it's the working, semantic, procedural, and episodic. So along with these four categories, it also gets tagged with a lifetime. So short-term memory is basically responsible for creating a pointer to where this memory has to go. And not only that, we also create a graph out of it. We also create the path because, okay, how does human mind retrieves memory? We have to replicate that. Don't answer this because we're going towards long-term memory and then we'll talk about it. We store long-term memory in basically two parts, right? One is like all of this knowledge is actually coming and it's being organized according to the classification short-term memory there is making. But long-term memory, it actually holds. There's like graphs. There's like people like have heard about Obsidian. I'm pretty sure people have heard about Obsidian. There's like node connectivities, and then we have a real-time database. So long-term memory holds all of that. But now the question is, how do we retrieve a memory? Does anybody know? But let me give you a hint. It involves 86 billion neurons, so be careful, okay? You're making a very, very significant fine tune.
Like I have some rough idea, but I'm not able to find the exact words to tell about that.
Okay, so
Can you please repeat your question?
how do humans retrieve memory? Like when you have a memory and then it pops out, how does it pop out? Like what happens inside your brain?
In normal terms, it's look like the flashback. But
No.
when we discuss about
Yeah, no, I'm not. Okay, I said I'm talking about the neurons that are working inside your brain, right? So what happens is it codes a path of neurons that that memory took, right? And then it replays and repeats the exact same path for those neurons so that you can have that memory, so that you can retrieve that. So of course, like I cannot compete with the perfect design, right? But what I can do is, okay, I can copy some of it. So the path, we create a path, and every time we create a path, we note it down on the long-term memory. So when it is classified, when we have to retrieve that, we have the classification. I ask you a question, what, like for design department, it knows that it needs to go towards the design department, okay? And then related to maybe Usman, right? And then it needs to go towards Usman. And then for this action, blah, blah, blah. But we have that path. We can follow that relatively fast. Now, we want to give this huge mind, this huge brain that has literally, it is the brain of a business, right? So, okay, let me break it to you. B2 actually means business brain. Business brain was boring, so I said B2, okay? Okay, that's out of it. So this entire business brain, needs to work for agents. So what is the consciousness, right? That is a different, you could say, argument that agents cannot be self-aware, they cannot be self-conscious, but it needs to know, it needs to have a defined set of personas, right? What does that mean? It means that, let's say that our CEO is using this memory layer. So the conscious of that agent, or that you can say persona, would be that who I am, what I know, and what access do I have. Because we're breaking down, we're basically abstracting a few things in the solution, because the knowledge that is accessible to the CEO must and should not be accessible to a new hiree, for example, or to an intern. So their personas defined, there's a protective layer of abstraction that restricts this brain from breaking. But because data is everything, right? The problem we're trying to solve is data, and the second problem that we're trying to solve is privacy. That's why we're providing the solution, how do I say it? Local, right? Okay. So, but what is consciousness and what is thinking? I have a funny reel about that as well. Like, I gotta keep you back on track. So we're doom scrolling. Next slide, please. Like, I really apologize, but yeah.
I guess like if you can explain the real, because like real voice and those things are not matching.
I don't know who Jim Descartes.
All right, we can skip the reel. You're saying that?
Yeah, like you can summarize, because
No, we're not.
we are
I'm not.
not able to understand the real. Actually.
Oh man, that blows the whole point. Okay, so it was just, you can say,
Unless you
a
can
leg
share the
stretcher.
presentation. Yeah.
Oh no, it's okay, because it was just, it wasn't anything meaningful. It was brain rot, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you cannot like expect that everything is gonna be knowledge when you're doom scrolling, right? You gotta have some brain rot in it. Okay, so
Yes, definitely.
okay. One problem that we really need to think is, we forget, right? We humans forget, and we should forget, right? Okay, but why do we forget things? Well, I don't know, but I don't know how many guys have experienced this or how many people have experienced this, but it happens to me that I'm taking a glass of water for my mother, but there's someone else sitting over there, maybe my father, and I'm like, here you go, right? Like, and then you look at your mom and you're like, oh, sorry. Like, bro, it is not as frustrating for me as it is frustrating for the AI if it does that, right? Like, it gets you something that you're not asking about. It gets you something that you're like, no, this is not what I'm asking, man. Right? That's frustrating. So we need to forget things in our minds, and we forget things by design, right?
Yeah.
But if an agent forgets things, that is an engineering problem. That is a problem in the architecture and the solution that the agent is providing. Because after all of it, it's a machine. How can a machine forget? So when you compile, like, we get knowledge, we get SMSs, maybe like you guys are sharing memes, right? And I don't need those memes inside knowledge base. What do? I clean the brain rot. Okay. I need to forget things. Like, for example, my brain knows that I have a meeting at 8 o'clock tomorrow. When 8 o'clock tomorrow hits, that knowledge is insignificant because I have the meeting notes from it, and I know in my long-term memory, because I have the notes saved from the meeting, that this call took at etc. time at etc. place, and this was the agenda. So knowing that it's going to be tomorrow at 8 o'clock, it's unnecessary, so we need to delete that. So that is why we create a lifetime in the short-term memory layer so that we can delete that or so that we can expire that memory out of it. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah,
All right.
it makes sense. Yep.
Okay, so to, summarize it, I've written a few things so that you can understand, because I know that you're confused what really is the product, right? Okay,
Yeah,
really?
definitely. You
Oh my
planned that way, yeah.
Okay, a single brain that is aware of the entire business. Every meaningful event and artifact flows into one store you own. And on top of it, sit AI executive personas that can report, judge, and act however you want them to act. Each a lens on the same shared knowledge, right? This is not a chatbot with your docs bolted in. It is infrastructure. The business memory and judgment layer owned and inspectable. Okay, that was a very, I don't know, but interesting story. We started from memory. How do we?
Ajmal, just
It's,
sorry to interrupt
I'm
you.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, if needed, I can get the slides and share by myself. I think there's a problem on the from the
Oh, it's
inside.
okay. I'm done. I'm actually done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the slide were like all reels. I had to get you guys through a brain rot experience, but well, you guys got lucky. Okay. So people here have maybe some technical questions about how do we make this? How do we develop this? Right? So, oh yeah, please share the slide. I remembered it. Please share the last slide, okay?
Sure. I am like,
Yeah, how can I skip the ending of a Christopher Nolan movie? Guys, come on, I'm sorry. We gotta show the ending, right? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to translate everything, if you understood, the entire story, and the last one. Oh my God. Yeah.
so actually, I still have the same question. What's the product?
It is a brain,
But
a
okay.
business brain. And you're thinking, why don't we use a DB? Well, have you used a DB and have you like gone into vector searching every time? It is a huge complexity. And then when that knowledge grows, you don't really have, you can say, a very efficient way to retrieve data. And then if you use, yeah.
So like, are we going to replace what we are actually going to replace?
Have you used,
LLMs?
yeah, I think Zanov has a question.
Yeah, I was asking like what we are going to replace basically.
Oh, yeah, okay. Have you used Obsidian?
Yes.
Okay, so have you ever felt its complexity? Like why it's not a good tool?
Yeah, but it is like for their ICPs, they have a defined ICPs. I think for them it works. For the common person, notebook LLM is better to use, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have an interfly solution. And for me, Obsidian is a very beautiful and a very well architected system, but it doesn't scale the way it's supposed to. What you need to do is you need to create graphs and nodes and then go for BFS, DFS. Like, well, I'm sorry, it's not BFS, DFS. I shouldn't say that. And then you have a real-time database, you have tables, you have a path. You need to have a combination of both if you do the technical thinking about it, right? So going scale, retrieving, defining personas, and auto-injecting all of the knowledge, that is what sets B2 apart from solutions like you can actually use Notion for keeping knowledge, right? You
Yeah.
can use Guru, right? And then there's Mem0, but it's only agentic. You don't have a solution for the enterprises, for the business, for the common man, if I may say.
Okay. So the name of your product is B2 basically. Yeah, I get it
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my
So
God, guys.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Yes,
please
yes,
go ahead.
you can ask.
Actually, I have a couple of questions. Can you explain like the technical side of it? Like, how does it work? Who are going to be the users of the product? And like just anything technical about it. Like, I still don't understand what it
Yeah.
is supposed
Okay.
to be doing.
Okay. Then
And how is it helping us? Like, for example, if I'm the user, how is it helping me? And how am I going to be using the AI?
All right. All right. First of all, don't think of it as AI yet. All right. And second of all, Mohammed, can you share the slide again, please? The
Sure,
end.
sure.
Yeah, the ending. Now, what I mean over here is like I give you the non-technical things, like, and we think alike. So you got to really push yourself for the technical thinking. And let me give you somewhat of an answer, but okay, the users. Let's start from there. Imagine you're a CEO and you've got 100 employees, right? And then you've got maybe 1 million clients, okay? Now you want to have a knowledge base where all of the knowledge on everyday things and all of the knowledge about the business, the live active knowledge, is compounded. What does compounded means? That it grows with time, right? So having a real-time database means having a real-time knowledge base. And that is what solves the problem of memory, not just for humans, but for agents. So back at you being a CEO, you have a question about what the CFO did. You don't necessarily need to ask him to create an entire report. What you do is you go to B2, you ask it, it retrieves the information about the CFO and it tells you, it gives you the answer. Now, okay, knowledge base, what I'm referring to as knowledge base is all the knowledge that the B2 has. That's knowledge base, okay? Like, be in that hypothetical situation. Okay, so, okay, it's real technical. It can be, why don't we go with markdown files, right? Because the retrieval, okay, so the semantic memory, a fellow over here gave an explanation about context. So this, the working memory, it's full of, you can say, text. And then when you go towards the semantic memory, it has to be markdown.md files. And then when you go towards procedural, then we prefer using YAML for the storage of the things. Why? Because we have to create a very sensitive path for each and every memory and each and every knowledge. Okay, so the users, like, I think, okay, you have an activity on maybe a Monday or a Jira, your board says something that you have to do, right? But you miss the notifications because you're getting 100,000 tickets each and every time. Those tickets are being captured by B2. And then you can simply do two things. You can ask B2, what are my tasks for today's according to my board, you get all the tickets. And at the same time, if you're working using Claude Code, or if you're working using any other coding agent that is connected to B2, you can simply tell them that these tickets have to be worked on, and it will know. It wouldn't act as if it doesn't know, because it will retrieve the real-time information. Does that make sense?
So if I summarize, you are building a memory layer for AI agents?
Yeah, not agents, actually.
All right.
Like,
You're just building the memory layer, or you are creating a new type of database, right?
We can say that. I would love to say that, but no, not databases. Because if I name it databases, then I will literally have to create databases, and we're not doing that. Yeah. Next. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so which infrastructure you would be using, or I would say whom's infrastructure you would be using, and what about the data integrity or privacy part? You earlier mentioned about being open, or was it open source or what open? And what about the data integrity part? Mainly, I'm concerned about that. And like, let's say you are targeting European countries or European companies, so how would you tackle that?
Okay, so I can say, 100 million things about I can put this privacy on, I can put that protocol, I can do this auth. None of that makes any difference when we talk about privacy, right? So what we envision is that we want to create like B2, imagine it as a box that is inside your office, for example, or that is at your home. Because we need what we envision and what we see is that everything has to come local if you need the correct privacy. Does that make sense?
No, it
So,
doesn't make sense. Like
okay,
how the data would be being fed into
yeah,
it.
through servers. Like, okay, no one outside the organization can connect to that server. Why? Because it's local. Why? Okay, by local, what I basically mean is that you have the hardware to yourself as well. Like, okay, we calculated, and why we say that is that once we calculated, we could, go up to 500 terabytes of, we can say, hardware solutions where we can put all of the information locally and then connect to private servers. And the knowledge base of Engro InfraShare was somewhat, I think it was 500 GBs or 750 GBs. But InfraShare at that time was a very small company. So I'm believing that they would compound, but there's not a company that would exceed that. And even if does, again, this is why this is an idea. We're still evaluating it. Because if it does, then we need to have an entire hardware industry for this. That's the vision.
Let's say if we are
Yeah.
talking about B2B, like this tool, infra, whatever it is called, is used by companies. And when we're talking about knowledge base, so knowledge base include all the policies, HR policies, operation policies, and all those SOPs defined. So in companies, usually the structure that in big companies mostly, usually the structure goes like that. They have directors and then they have C executives. And now every C executive comes with his own theory, with his own logic, with his own brain or mindset. So how your system would tackle that? Like how it would evolve basically, because it is a brain now. It is being trained in a sense. So how it would evolve to a new C executive teams?
Like I don't quite get it. Like, if you're having executive teams, how does that impact the knowledge you're gathering from day to day and every day? Like how the business is working, how the numbers are running, for instance.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Twitter, as known as now as X, it was being ran by a team of 4,000 developers or 4,000 team. A person of 4,000 team by the ex-boss or CEO, whatever his name was. And then when Elon Musk purchased Twitter, so he revamped the whole organization structure. He almost fired 80 or 90% of the staff, then revamped everything. Like either it's just the development policy, the HR policies, the op policies, the governance policy, the AI policy. So when some new C executive team is coming, they are coming up with their own vision, and they might be bringing some knowledge base of their own. So how your system would evolve?
Yeah, that is actually, now that you summarize, that is actually a very good point. And I really hadn't thought about this, but in case of transfer, how does the knowledge base get edited, or how does it get accessible by the new systems? And we delete you can say the old knowledge or the old policies. So yeah, thank you for that. I'll implement it and then I'll let you know the solution. Thanks. Any more questions?
Interesting. If anyone wants or have any question, you can ask, or else we can move forward. I think you can tell Ajmal at what level this idea is, and I will also love to know about you. Are you a student? Are you an industry professional, or what you are doing?
Okay, so I am in industry. You can say I've been working in industry for the last 2.5 years. So I have a startup, and we're working on a startup, and one of the ideas was this, but mainly our startup revolves around the agentic automations. So that's how we're trying to contribute in the world of AI. And what else was the question? The idea?
Yeah, I
Like,
was asking like, is it in a beta mode or you build something or it's just an idea?
oh, so we're working on it. It's kind of in a beta mode. I have like some code of it, but it's very imperfect. The architecture, because again, I pitched this necessarily was to get more ideas out of you guys so that we can see what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And thank you, Abdurrahman, for the transfer information. So we'll be working on it. It's on beta. We've got like um it's in our books.
Yeah, and how your integrations are automating basically, because like I know a lot of platforms nowadays, and there are some more platforms coming named as operating system. Recently, there's one for the MacBook that comes. Then there are a lot of platforms that are coming for the Windows-based system that
Mm-hmm.
act as an AI operating system and AI operating layer that automatically connects all of your local data on your PC. It can connect like with your drives, with your socials, with all of those things on a single click, and it lives in your system and can answer you back on the WhatsApp, on the call about any detail that I want to get about my company or about any of the department of my company. So isn't it like the same thing you are building, or is it different? And how the integrations are automating basically?
All right. So for the integration part, it's the ingestion, right? Right now, what you said is the exact same thing of a fragmented ecosystem. What the agent needs to do, even if it's living on the computer, it needs to go and search multiple things and retrieve data for you. And second, how does it have that data unless or until you query it? And then this is a one-person solution, right? Now, if you are working with a team, then like you've got an entire team in front of you, you've got interaction with multiple developers, you want all of those, like every single one person and their, you can say each and every person has their different knowledge apart from what's happening in the business. And each and every person has their own activity, for example, right? So you need to have a compound where maybe your CEO can look, search about your guy, like the entire department's activity. So compounding of knowledge for the use of multiple people across an organization, that's what sets us apart.
So you're saying you are also having an organizational structure and a common database on which like all the people of one company are connected to.
Yeah, if
And
if
in terms
we
of
stay out of it, yeah, sorry.
ingestion, if the ingestions are manual, then
No,
it
ingestions
will
aren't manual.
are not manual. So how
No.
you will connect, for example,
Hmm.
if we say, or you are building like your own SMTP server for email, everything in your operating system, or are you are connecting to the third parties? Because if you're connecting to the third parties, it cannot be everywhere. Like there are a lot of third party tools that we are using as a company owner
Yeah,
that
yeah,
will not let you connect with them.
yeah. Well, that is one limitation for our product as of yet. But we are using third party, like for example, if you're using Slack, then you can have a manual injection from Slack. And if you're using maybe Gmail, you can have a manual automated injection from Gmail. So this is one limitation that if we keep on using third-party application, we might get stuck with solutions and we might get stuck with providing solution to those organizations, such as you're saying of. So this is under consideration.
So as I think about OpenClaw or Quad Code as compared to that, these are the tools that if I install and if I want to give access of my knowledge to AI, they can automatically connect to all of those systems without their permission. So isn't it like the OpenClaw is solving this thing, like, or not?
What's the name? Open, how do you spell it?
OpenClaw,
Claw.
CLAW.
Okay, you're talking about OpenClaw. Okay, no. Yes, but no. OpenClaw is okay. Do you know Hermes Agent by Now Research?
Yes, yes.
So what's the difference between Hermes agent and OpenClaw? You can tell that, right?
No, I cannot. You can tell better.
So
Yeah.
what Hermes agent is basically differentiated by is its learning from experience, right? It learns from whatever you're doing and it continuously improves itself. Like, so that is one single component that they introduced in Hermes that was maybe like a bit different about these agents. So OpenClaw does have a memory, but it does not have an entire brain. And then it can access those memory because it's running on your computer. For your computer, that makes sense. But if you want to
So,
have a compounded solution across organization, again,
so yeah, if I build a solution in which like I connected a vector database and, or you can say mem0 for long-term memory, and or I can build my own long-term memory protocol.
yeah,
So it will be like the same. I want to understand the product because I am still
yeah.
not able to understand the product. Wow.
Okay,
It would be the kind of same thing,
so vector search alone is not
like
the only.
a central database. It could be
Yeah,
any. Yeah,
yeah. We like
anyone
people
can.
have tried that. We ourselves have tried that, and what we eventually failed to do is that when we're compounding and compounding and compounding, and then only like, for instance, you have multiple RAG solutions. RAG fails to do that. Vector search fails to do that. But when you have a, like, you will eventually have to go through a specific, you can say, length for that vector search because you need to have categorization. So we are just using those concepts. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're using multiple search. We're using multiple, like we're using, you can say we're using a database and Obsidian, right? You can consider the mix of those. And then we're using all of those vector searches and queries from the database and the retrieval methods from the Obsidian united. And then there's an interesting technology called Convex. They recently introduced a real-time database system. So we're scaling on that because agents understand that very well.
What it name? How you spell
Convex,
that?
Convex.
Okay, interesting. I will look
Oh yeah,
into
it
that.
is very interesting actually.
Yeah. So yeah, we have one question in the chat I just saw.
Right.
Bashir Amjad, yeah. If his question by Bashir Amjad, like you can also look into it. If open source LLM are available, then is it good enough to generate a custom PC having higher GPUs and run our daily life with it for data privacy? You can answer, or you want I
Can you
can
repeat?
answer?
Can you repeat the question? For some reason I can't see the messages.
Okay, okay. So it's Bashir basically asking if open source LLMs are available, so why not we run them on our custom PCs with a good GPUs, and it will have our basically data privacy, a better data privacy on that.
Yeah, that is a very good solution, and that is the thing that a personal developer should do in the modern ages, right? If you have GPUs, if you have computational power, download the local, like have a local agent on your PC and you have all of the data. But how do you get all of the data if you're working in 100 people organization or maybe 500 plus people organization, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, Bashir Olama provides many model, but when you are running a local model, a very raw model, if you try it with the Olama, it have an issue that, for example, if you compare a local model with the ChatGPT or DeepSeek or ChatGPT have a proper UI. They have a protocols to handle your request and to basically answer in a different way with the different memory approaches. But when you are running a local model, unless you build such solution or you are using some open source solution on it, it will work. And as Ajmal also told, that was around basically as the solution V2 that Ajmal is building, that have a central memory in which like a group of people can access that memory at once, at one place, and ask questions from that. I guess we answered your question. You can unmute your mic and we can talk accordingly. Okay, perfect. So if we have any other question, anyone feel free to ask, to tell, or if there's any feedback on the project you guys are open to give. It's a very, very interesting project, actually.
Yeah,
Love
come on,
to
guys.
see and come in the live. Would love to brainstorm on it with you if needed. Yeah. I don't think so. We have any question. Zainab, do we have any question or not? Should we conclude?
None from my side. Let me take a look at the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, there are no questions.
So thank you so much, for your valuable time and an interesting presentation, a unique presentation, I can say.
I'm sorry, can
Oh.
I? There's
Yeah,
a question on the chat.
Yes, you can ask.
It says, why are the agents not strong enough for game development like app or web?
Why are you not good at HTML and why are you good at JS? It's like agents need to know things so that they can work on that thing. For example, agents work better on TypeScript, JavaScript as compared to working on maybe HTML or making on maybe C#. So people are working. NVIDIA is very actually working on AI game development agents. So there are agents within India that are in NVIDIA that are working on game development, but you see, game development is a very costly operation. The code in an app and web is nothing as compared to what's in a game. Like you have a huge complex coding inside game development. So one of the reasons is that, and that's why NVIDIA is pursuing that, working on GPUs and working on power.
Yeah. Thank you for answering in detail. I think that's it for today. We would love to have you in our next session and be continuing our hour series probably in the next weekend on the Saturday at 10 p.m. Pakistani time and 5 p.m. UTC. Uh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone else who joined us for today's session. If you have any feedback, any suggestions, you can also give them in the community chat on the WhatsApp. Else, we will be meeting, inshallah, on the next weekend on Saturday. Thank you. Bye. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, guys. Hafiz.
But the mic is turned on, you know. But he didn't bug, bro.